Let's draw ourselves a 2 by 2 matrix. Think of it like a graph. The two lines become the two axes. The axes divide the graph into four quadrants. Now, would you be too surprised if we told you that this seemingly simple looking sketch actually defined Apple's multi trillion dollar empire today? Yes, you heard it right. Well, back in 2007, Steve Jobs used it to revolutionize the smartphone industry. Wait, let me explain how. When it came to smartphones, Steve Jobs saw the market defined by two core factors. Number one, how smart the phone was, and number two, how easy was it to use. He took these two criterias and put them on this 2 by 2 matrix. Then he went about mapping the existing players on the graph. At that point in time, all the major smartphone brands like the Nokias and the Motorola's focused primarily on calling, texting, and mailing. They weren't too smart and also very hard to use. Then there were conventional cell phones, which were not smart and scored just fair on the ease of use parameter. This meant that all the existing options were far from being what the consumer deserved, a cell phone that is smart and also easy to use at the same time. And this is where he saw a big gap, an opportunity for something really revolutionary, an iPhone. What Jobs was doing was strategically identifying the position he meant the iPhone to occupy. The tool he was using to do so is what we refer to as a perceptual map. A perceptual map is a simple graph, typically laid out with two axes. These axes represent key factors that matter most to your target customers, such as price versus quality or innovation versus reliability. Now, the layout places products or brands in different positions on the graph based on how customers rate them on these factors. It tells you how customers perceive your brand, shows you how competitors are perceived by the customers, and most importantly, it reveals gaps or white spaces in the market that are ideal spots for new product opportunities or repositioning. Now, it's important to understand that the tool only focuses on two key parameters, comparing your brand based on the most critical factors shaping the customer perception. Hence, how you select these parameters becomes very important. For example, if you are in the automobile industry, you might choose fuel efficiency versus luxury features as your two parameters to understand how customers see your cars compared to the competitors. In the food and beverage sector, you might focus on healthiness versus taste, capturing how different brands perform in the eyes of the customers. Now, choosing the right parameter depends on what matters most to your audience and what you want to achieve, be it finding a unique position, spotting a gap, or gaining an edge over the competitors. Now, this decision shapes how effective your perceptual map will be in guiding your strategy. Also, it's important to understand that it is a perception of your customers that you want to consider while placing the competitors on the graphs and not your own. So, if your parameters are very subjective and not factual, it's best to get the consumers to do the mapping. Now, let's understand this with the help of an example. Imagine lying around on a lazy Sunday afternoon and binging your way through the latest TV series. But have you ever wondered why you have the OTT subscription that you do? If you have Netflix, why not Amazon Prime? Why not Geo Cinema or Disney Plus Hotstar? The point is, why one and not the other? Well, thinking along the lines of Steve Jobs, we see that when it comes to choosing the OTT platforms in India, the two factors that act as the tipping points for the customers are price and variety of the content. Now, let's make this more interesting by building a perceptual map of our own for the OTT market in India. For our map, the price goes on the y axis, ranging from low price to high price subscriptions. The variety of the provider's content library goes on the x axis. Now, this marks the quantum and the originality of the provider's content. Let's start with the market leader today, that is Netflix. Netflix demands premium subscription prices and boasts a vast variety of international as well as Indian content. Many movies across languages are released on Netflix and it produces a lot of original content of its own. So obviously it goes up in the first quadrant on the top right of our graph. Next, Amazon Prime Video too offers a compelling mix of Indian regional content as well as international content. It also boasts of original content such as Mirzapur and Family Men, which places it high on content variety. It even offers streaming services for live sports. At the same time, it has a much more accessible price point. So this places Amazon Prime Video right here. Next, we come to Disney Plus Hotstar. With exclusive access to Disney content such as Marvel and Star Wars franchise, coupled with Bollywood blockbusters and live cricket streaming, it has also emerged as a strong contender in this space. It offers mid range pricing and again can be fitted into the first quadrant. Let us now evaluate how Sony Live fares in this scenario. It has quite a bit of variety in content, but not as much as the market leaders. Additionally, its premium services lie close to the market leaders themselves. So this puts Sony Live midway through the first and the second quadrants. Now, Sony Live has a strong portfolio of originals, including Scam 1992 and the Shark Tank franchise, alongside sports content and a vast variety of Indian and international shows. So it comes somewhere here. In the same quadrant, we have Z5, which is high price but lower on the content variety. Z5 primarily boasts of domestic and Indian content, thereby finding great appeal among the masses even without a lot of international or sports variety in content. Alt Balaji, AHA, and Eros Now find presence in the third quadrant, which, although affordable with low price subscriptions, also has a limited amount of original content as well as variety in the content. At the bottom right of the graph, you would find the fourth quadrant. This is where affordability meets variety. JioCinema comes with a vast content repository and caters to a large Indian audience. As of 2025, with its low price services and a huge repository of content, it occupies space in this fourth quadrant. You will also find MX Player in the same quadrant. Its basic services can be availed free of cost and it hosts a wide variety of content on its platform. And there you have it, key OTT players represented in a single two-dimensional graph. The industry giants and the market leaders occupy the top right quadrant, while the bottom left is where the free or low-cost options reside, often with a more limited selection or reliance on ad-supported models. Similarly, it can be explained for the remaining players in the matrix as well. But do you know what's interesting about this? Check out the empty space in the center right position of the graph. This is not just an empty space, it represents an opportunity in this category. Recall what Steve Jobs saw in the map he built for the smartphone market. His vision was to place the iPhone in the top right quadrant, marking out a completely open space for his product. This is the same space we are talking about here. In the case of OTT players, the blank space suggests an opportunity for a platform that can offer a good balance of quality original content at a price that sits between the premium players and the more budget-friendly options. Perhaps the opportunity lies in having a platform that is focused on high-quality, original Indian content but without the hefty price tag of the market leaders. That's what the Perceptual Map helps us achieve. Based on how customers perceive your product, it proves to be an extremely valuable framework for understanding the competitive landscape and identifying potential opportunities. It is also useful in making strategic decisions. But remember, this map is just a starting point. In the case of our OTT example, viewer preferences, subscription models, and content libraries will evolve continuously. The same parameters that we are using to evaluate the market now might not be applicable in a few years down the line. Hence, one should revisit their brand and product's perceptual map periodically in order to stay ahead of the curve.